What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. It's the 17th day of March, and here we are sitting at about $73.8 thousand with roughly 10 hours, 50 minutes left in the day. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here, and let's get into it. Yesterday, and really over the past 8 days now, we've been moving up very, very consistently, and we have come back from worse than this, that's for damn sure, but I do assume that we found a momentary high. I've kind of been calling for that for the past few days now, and slowly but surely been proven wrong. But at the same time, a little bit more upside is something that we could account for. It's not like this is what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like this breaks the idea that we are going to go back down, right? I did take a firm stance here on these 2 days, saying that I think before we get above this high, we will go below 70K and then make this move. But now I think the fact that we've made this move, I think now we will return to either 70K or even below 70K. We could go just below 70K and hit this trend line here. Bitcoin has been playing with us this whole time, right? It's been having a lot of fun playing with us. As soon as we get right below these lows, that's the low, then you move up. As soon as you get right above this high, that's the high, then you move down. As soon as you get right above this high, which was over the last few days, that's the high. We'll probably move down. The thought here is a little bit different than what most people are telling you, which is I don't think that we're about to break out and go to 100K. I don't think that we're about to break out and go above 80K. I don't think that this is a massive bull trap and we're about to break down and go below 60K. I don't believe either of those things. I just think we are doing the same thing we've been doing since February. We're just moving sideways. That's all. Moving sideways, we're a little bit tilted up. That's fine. It is possible that from here we could be slowly working our way down below 60K. We could. I don't really foresee that happening personally. I do think that we'll probably see prices just below or right around 70K, and then likely continue to move up higher very, very slowly. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes whenever we get there, how low we go. We might not even go as low as I'm expecting us to go, but I want to look at the short-term stuff and go over that right now. So let's get into it, okay? This is on the index. Let's use Binance because there's more volume. I think it's more accurate, it's more beneficial. 1 hour time frame here. So I made a post on X, made a little poem for you guys. Let's see. X likes to blink, man. Whenever you come back to it after not using it for a while, it likes to refresh itself. Let's see. I'm going to the profile. It's taking its sweet time. While it's taking its time, there we go. Okay. The volume looks right. The price action too. Bitcoin is forming a head and shoulders for you. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like to me, at least at the moment. The volume is right. This is typical volume structure of a head and shoulders pattern. And I mean, as far as the left shoulder goes and the right shoulder so far, the formation's pretty good. Now, what we might see is a bounce somewhere right around $73,000 psychological support. But the bounce that we see might be less severe than these bounces here. Maybe it takes us all the way back up to the top. Maybe we see some volatility and then we drop, whatever it is. But this definitely overall has the right structure for the left shoulder here, the head. We could be forming the right shoulder as well. Right now, it's not a fully developed pattern, but the volume looks right. The price action does as well. So looking at this with that perspective, actually, if this is a head and shoulders pattern, let's get the measure move down there. Let's see. Should I do it here? If it's slanted, you still would take the lowest part of the pattern. And let's put it instead of right at the low, we'll just put it like just above the low. We'll be conservative with this drop. It could be a little bit more, but assuming that this slant might stay consistent, something like that. But the shoulder here didn't slant up. Either way, tomato, tomato, whatever. It's better to be conservative anyways. That would take us right about to 70K. And we could go a little bit lower than that. So just with that in mind, 70K certainly does stand out as a potential target, right? And this, whether it's a head and shoulders pattern or not, it does look a little bit reminiscent of what we did back here as far as this drop's going so far. So, and we did go just below this level here. So I would at least expect that we get back below $73,000. The 1 hour RSI was very robust, very strong, getting overbought consistently, not getting oversold once. We've kind of broken out of this higher low structure here, and it looks like we could be going down, but from this point we really could find a little bit of support and then continue to go down. It doesn't have to be a straight shot. There can be volatility. Don't get excited if we get back above 74.5k, because again, if this is slanted to some degree, maybe it's not slanted to that degree, maybe it's like slanted to a lighter degree. If it is slanted to a lighter degree, might be slanted like this, we could go up to like 75k and still be in this head and shoulders pattern, but it's just a slanted version. The stochastics are bearish. The MACD is bullish, but you're flirting with danger here, crossing below the zero. It's just the 1 hour time frame. This isn't enough to condemn you down to like 70k or lower, but it certainly does seem, in my opinion, as if we want to go lower. Let's see how we interact with 73k. If 73k doesn't hold as support initially, then this never was a head and shoulders pattern. This was just maybe a bull trap where we're coming down. I don't know how we would look at that, but let's look at the 4 hour time frame. Maybe we get a different look. If we take this high or this low here to this high, you can find support at the 236, at the 382, and the golden ratio zone. Those are I'm sorry. Those are kind of the first three areas that you would expect to find support at. And it kind of looks like we're finding support there now, but I wouldn't be surprised if we did go below the 382. That's at 71.8k. We could bounce right off of that. A bounce directly off the 382 typically does imply continuation. Not always, so don't get too excited. But typically with the 382, especially in a situation like this, you would expect to wick a little bit below there, close above there, maybe find resistance back at the 236, and then continue to drop. If we are in a head and shoulders pattern, that probably doesn't happen. We'll just make an immediate kind of shift down to this 0.5 golden ratio area here, somewhere in that zone. I would bet we hit the golden ratio. So if it does form a bit of a head and shoulders, if we do see a little dilly-dallying up here before we make our way down to the 382, there's a solid chance that we do just rip right down to the golden ratio. If not, if we don't form the head and shoulders, if we like see these lower lows first, we don't hold support here at all, and that we're not forming that second half of the pattern, it's possible that we do see some stair stepping on the way down. I want to look at the retracements to the downside real quick and just see what we can come up with. Hold on, guys. Everybody is getting sick right now. My daughter's sick. I'm sure you've heard some coughs. And I'm getting sick as well. As my mom would say, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. From a low to a high, the 0.5 is where you found support there. Ultimately getting very, very close to the 786. Okay. 0.5, 786. Low there to the high there. Let's put this at the actual low. 886 support, and of course you went a little bit lower here, but we can keep that in mind. But I'm really just going for the retracements. We're not really thinking about extensions yet. 886. Low to high here. 886 strikes again. So we got the 0.5, the 786, the 886 striking a couple times here. 0.5 golden ratio area yet again. Probably the same thing here. This might even be a 786 retracement. Let's just see. 786 retracement. Overall low. Whoop, that's not what I meant to do. Low here to a high there. Just below the golden ratio, but right around the golden ratio. Okay, cool. So just with all that in mind, taking our discernible highs, our discernible lows to our discernible highs, the thought that I have is that we didn't really find support here ever. We found support at the 0.5 once. Typically, we did go a little bit below the 0.5 and actually just miss hitting the golden ratio, or that one time we did go to the golden ratio, or several times that we went down to the 786, 886. So what I'm getting at here is that really anything between 70.6 to 66.7k, I think, is a completely appropriate target to have. Yes, so imagine Bitcoin makes a drop, and maybe it's this fast, maybe it's just like this move, maybe it's a little bit more methodical, however it moves down, whatever. But imagine Bitcoin makes a drop like this, people are going to panic, right? Everybody was shouting from the top of their lungs that the bull market's back, that we're moving up, all these good things, right? And then they'd all be depressed down here, even though we'd have a higher low overall, right? I think that would be the most extreme of it that we would see. Depending on how we react, we absolutely could go lower, and we could be looking at that point for extensions, but I'm not there yet. My thought is simply right here, 73.7K, that we do make a move probably between now and the end of this week and going into next week, down to 70.6 to 66.7K. And again, referring back to all these other drops, this doesn't have to be this way. I've been calling for this at this high. I've been calling for this at this high. Actually, no, I don't think I called for it at this high. I think from this high I called it, and onwards I was expecting, but I was wrong, and that's okay. What I was calling for is that we would see a 3 to 4 day drop, because that's what we've seen throughout this whole range. Every single one of these drops, this drop here, this drop here, this drop here, this drop here, maybe not these little drops here. Not these little drops here, but if we're talking about something more consistent that goes based on the standard fib retracements we've seen throughout this whole range since February began, here we are in the middle of March, it would be a 3 to 4 day period from the high to the low that we see this move develop. So 3 to 4 days, March 17th, very beginning of the day, it'd be March 20th, maybe March 21st, and maybe a little bit later into March 21st. It could take longer as well. You never know, right? Just because it's been 3 to 4 days doesn't mean we can't go lower inevitably. It can be a little bit more methodical. We'll see how it goes. But I do expect that sometime by the end of this week, we should be probably below 72K. If not lower. We'll see. So I guess that's the official call. I think that we are moving down. I think that we will see prices below 72K by the end of this week, probably even by not just the end of this week for crypto, but by the end of this week for the stock market, like by the end of the business week on Friday. The RSI had some fun. 4-hour RSI showed more strength here than it has really throughout this whole range that we've been forming since February. Got some of the highest readings too, which is awesome. But I think now it's time to come back down. We'll see. Typically, in moments like this, you will back test the overbought zone and then reject and then come down. So I wouldn't be too surprised at all if we did see a little bit of upside from here. Maybe not from here. Maybe we move down a little bit more and then we get that upside, whatever it is. Don't get excited if you're watching this video and we're back around 75K. Okay, don't get excited. Get excited if today closes above 75K though. If today closes above 75K, I think then maybe this move's not done and maybe we do continue to move higher. On that note, actually hold on, let me look at the other indicators first before we move on. Stochastics look bearish here. I would assume that we keep going down. The MACD is bullish overall. Nothing really negative to say there. It looks like we're about to cross red, so that could imply some downside. Looking at this overall, I mean, this really does, to me, it kind of does look like a bull trap. Looks like a bull trap. You know, you could say that it's a bear flag too. It probably is to some degree. Very important thing with these bear flags, bull flags, right? Whenever we form them, oftentimes you get that false breakout and it makes everybody think that it's breaking out, but really you're just still forming the pattern, right? The original pattern that you thought it was is not actually the shape that it was, right? You might think that this is the bear flag. If we were to break out, maybe this is the bear flag. It's just a little bit of a different shape. You know, that's all it is. It's like the same thing, but same but different, right? So don't get too excited if we do go below there. We do have targets just below this line, and Bitcoin likes to be tricky. As soon as we got above this area, that's where we found our top, potentially. As soon as we got below this area, that's where we found our low, potentially, right? And it worked out. We broke this trend line here, and then that was the low there. If we break this trend line here, right below that trend line is 66K, and from a low to a high, I mean, that's our 786, 886 area, okay? What was I going to say? It does look like a bull trap just because of this kind of like hooked shape. And then I wanted to see where the retracement was itself. I wanted to take this high to low. High to low here. right at the 0.5. Hold on, guys. Right at the 0.5. That is a bearish rejection. We didn't really have any stopping on the way down here, but we did for like a few days right here, and that's the place that we're rejecting. I don't know. That's not a good look. If we do continue to climb higher, 81 to 84K certainly is a attractive area. It's the golden ratio zone. It's also where we had prior areas of support. I don't think that we're going to get up that high. In fact, I think that we will just miss the golden ratio zone, but time will tell. We're moving up without volume, okay, or not without volume, but with volume decreasing. That's not positive. You're breaking out with volume decreasing. That's not positive typically, okay. I think that a close below 72.3K would definitely promote the idea of this being a momentary high, and the likelihood that we do go below 70K is definitely there. Going from the 0.5 area to your 236 area is definitely a normal thing to do. So that, I mean, that really puts prices below 70K on the map, 67K in particular. Another thing that makes me a little bit bearish here beyond the potential layouts that we have set up already is the fact that this was 8 days green in a row, which Bitcoin hasn't seen 8 green days close in a row. I think here this was 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7. It hasn't seen 8 green days in a row since February of 2024, in over 2 years. And whenever we saw these 8 green days come to an end, did we drop through the floor? No. We just moved sideways and then we continued moving up. Could we do that here? Sure, we could. But we could also do something opposite as well. I mean, let's actually look at this for comparison's sake. Right? First off, a much more robust move. As you're moving up, volume was dying off. To be fair, it was dying off. But you still had consistently the volume here was above average. Okay, it was consistently above average. Whenever it went below average, that's when you were consolidating. Broke out of a downtrend, stochastics were overbought. I mean, this is very strong reading. This is like peak bull market behavior stuff, right? We're not really in peak bull market times, guys. We're not overbought. The stochastics barely got overbought. The MACD's actually had a point to reject. The RSI has had a point to reject as well. And this 8 days that we had was a lot less robust. It was a lot more lackluster. So I really wouldn't be surprised if we had a different result, right? The last result, people like to look at moments like that and be like, oh, we moved sideways and then we moved up. That's what happened the last 8 days. I don't make the rules. That's just what happens. So that's the call. We're going to do this again. But they don't look at all the other data that's like, okay, this is totally different. This is, think of it like this. This is the longest green streak we've had in over 2 years. We're in a bear market. We're probably going to come down. And consistently while we were moving up, this volume was really not above average. It was a couple days it was, but not really the whole time actually. I don't really have anything else to say. I think I've made the point. I think the point has been made. You guys understand where I'm going, what I'm going for here. Overall, my expectation is that we will see something around 70.6 to 66K itself. I'm leaning more toward that 66, 69K area personally. And that probably happens by the end of this week. If it doesn't happen by the end of this week, I would certainly at least expect that we're around 70K by the end of this week. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. It might be one fell swoop of a move like this one was. It might be more thought out like this one was. You know what I mean? So however it works, it could take more time. It could be fast. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of hope, and yeah, just people getting very, very excited for the bull market to start and all this stuff. So that makes me think that we will probably reject down quick. There wasn't a lot of volume, but time will tell. It can be either way. Take care. See you later. Bye-bye.